Hello, today we are here with Ruth Wilkinson, who's your VP Activities-elect for Kent Union for the 2016-17 academic year. We're going to be chatting to her about some of her policies for the upcoming year and getting to know her a little bit better. So Ruth, can you just introduce yourself and your main policy points, please?
I'm Ruth. My main policy points for next year are We Are Kent, so that's about not having the division between sports and societies, and student media and RAG. I think everybody represents University of Kent, so we should do more to do that. Such as things like the Team Kent Ball are for sports clubs. Society should be offered the same sort of experiences. They should be able to have kit like this, which I'm wearing, because I think you represent University of Kent too. You should have the same kind of colours and things like that. It shouldn't just be all about sports. Some other ones that I've got in there are things like free memberships. That's a really big policy. That's going to be a lot of hard work, and it's a lot of strategic stuff, so it'll probably be looking really far into the future and building it into the university's sort of forward-thinking budget, which is basically where people don't have to worry about the initial cost of joining a society. So that cost will be eliminated and paid for by the university, so that people don't have to worry about joining everything. The later on, obviously, there would be a different way of doing it. But it's about making sure that people have that breadth. They don't have to panic, look at their bank account in Freshers Week and think I can only join one thing.
Cool. So how do you sort of propose putting in those free memberships? Because you say building it into the university's plan, but obviously previous SABs have found that the university isn't so bothered about extracurricular activities. So how would you sort of
So Nina, the VP Sport currently, is already working on free sport, which is actually already done at Essex University. So it's something that's already done at a university in this country. And actually because of that, they've gone up in the league tables. They've actually improved their student satisfaction. They've improved their graduate employability, because all of those extracurricular skills that you get from doing a club is what helps you get a job. It's what makes your time at university fun, and it shouldn't just be for people who can afford it. So the whole point would be that I would continue what Nina's doing, which is actually talking to the university, describing to them how important things like sport and societies are, but also using the students to do that too. So that I'd probably be looking at, I'm going to do lots of research in my first few weeks in the role, and then I'm going to start getting students to give me their opinions, their feedback, because if enough people come forward and say, actually, it was doing KTV that made my university degree as fun as it is, that's why I rated it 90% my student satisfaction. And then the university has to pay attention. It has to realise that if people can't afford it, and in this climate, in this sort of, this time of, what's going on with all the sort of raising fees and things like that, we can't expect students to pay more and more and more on top of that just to do stuff outside of their degree.
So obviously the activities staff does quite a lot in terms of the amount of societies that you're in charge of, things like RAG and media and trying to sort all of that out. How do you plan to sort of balance all of that and make sure that you're giving enough time to everybody?
It's going to be really important that I'm careful with that. What I'm going to have to do is I'm going to have to set out a list of priorities, strategic priorities. So a lot of the activities role is operational and half it is obviously strategic. So I want to make sure that I'm focusing on the big aims that I want to achieve, while also making sure that societies know that I'm around to help, and also utilising staff, I think. So making sure that they're obviously helping me out and I'm helping them out as well.
Okay, cool. Another thing that you've mentioned on your manifesto is a societies ball. And obviously, as we say, there's tons of societies.
Yes.
So where do you want to do this? How do you see it, working?
I don't think we could say a societies ball for all societies, because they all want different things. I think there's some societies who'd want something really formal, like a 3-course meal, full-length ball gowns, a really posh venue, and that would there'd be a price that comes along with that. There'd be some societies who'd be really happy to have a big sit-down in Woody's, have a load of beer and burgers and stuff like that, and just enjoy it that way. And what I'd like to do is actually just get feedback from the societies on whether they'd like one. So that would be through the SOC exec, and then through also the presidents of societies, saying to them, do you want to do a society? I know the performing arts, so like T24, Kent Dance, MTS, they did a performing arts ball, and that went really well. Equally, the sciences, the academic science societies, they did a ball together. So it's about sort of empowering students to do those things as well, and hopefully giving them a bit of backing from our staff as well, because Team Kent Ball is arranged by staff, so there's no reason why we shouldn't get involved and actually start arranging balls for societies as well.
Cool. Another thing is you wanted to put in flat floor space, or make more flat floor space available to societies like Kent Dance. where do you see this?
Well, we're already, so this policy point is actually, I know that we already are building dance studio in Parkwood, because I've been on the board of trustees for a year now, so I was there when we looked at the plans and saw that we're going to have a dance studio in Parkwood, which is going to be amazing. It's going to be quite big, and it's going to have a divider, so actually if there's two small groups that want to use it, it's going to have a little wall that can come down in the middle, and people can dance in either side, or not even dance. There's things like yoga, martial arts, pole fitness. All of those societies need flat floor space too. And we're also having a new student union building that will be in 2017, I think, it's a starting building. So it's not actually going to be around for a long time, but it's about ensuring that we are prioritising things that we really don't have at the moment, the facilities that we don't have. I want to look at proper flat floor space, so sprung floors, mirrors, things like that, things that Elliott Hall doesn't provide at the moment. Because as great as massive space as it is, it doesn't have mirrors, so people who are doing a performing art can't, check their posture, check what they're doing, and that will really improve us, especially as societies like Kent Dance are representing University of Kent. They go away and they win competitions. And, they need to have the proper facilities to actually, imagine what they can do if they have, full dance studios.
You previously mentioned SOC exec, or societies exec. Is there anything that you would want to change with the way that runs, in terms of who sits on it, or in terms of how the meetings run, how it feeds back to societies?
At the moment, I think I would very much take the advice of Tom Curry, who's obviously the outgoing VP Activities. He's been doing it for 2 years, he knows what he's doing, and I would love to use his advice and his experience. Also Clara, who's going to be VP Welfare next year, she sits on the SOC exec this year, and I think she did 2 years ago as well, although I'm not 100% on that. So I'd actually like to talk to them about it. I don't sit on the SOC exec, I sit on Team Kent exec. So it's run quite differently. So Team Kent exec's much more informal, and SOC exec's much more sort of, they have roles and they take minutes, and it's run quite differently. So I think what I'm going to be doing this summer term is attending a few meetings and having a chat with the current SOC exec about how they feel it should be run. I think I would like to make it, I really like the idea of roles, because it gives people individual responsibility. It means they feel like they're making a difference, and they get to have their own sort of initiative instead of just taking work off the VP Activities. So yeah, I'd love to just chat to them about their experiences on it and see how they'd like to see it changed.
Cool. Obviously, being part of student media, we're intrigued as to what you have planned for us. Have you sort of been quite involved with student media, or is it something that you don't know much about, and what do you sort of plan for progression?
In terms of my involvement with student media, I feel like I've been up here a lot, but probably I've seen lots of KTV stuff. I watch it. I'm a consumer of student media. I have friends who have radio shows. I read, have the Inquirer. Every time it comes out, I work on Fight Over the Crossword, and so we do use the student media quite a lot. But I have never actually participated in that. I've never written anything for Inquirer, or up till now been on KTV or anything like that. So I would definitely love to get more involved in summer term. The things that I wrote in my manifesto about student media is things like making sure that the outlets are supporting student media. So I was in Essentials earlier, and I could hear CSR playing, which was great. I recognised my friend's voice. She must be doing her show. But also in Woodies, we should have things like KTV adverts and stuff up on the screens. Inquirer should be able to be available, all over campus, not just in Essentials and up here and things. Although I think it's already great, but I would love to just chat to the current committee, chat to the incoming committee about how I can best support them, because I think you guys have such exciting ideas, such great facilities. You need more attention. You need more people to watch your stuff and appreciate your stuff. So that would be my big things.
Cool. One last question, or one last serious question, and then we'll do the fun bit. If you could only achieve one thing this year of your manifesto, because obviously we know that SABs, sometimes they run for 1 year, sometimes they run for 2, and quite often many of the manifesto points take a few years after that to get put through. If you could only get one thing sorted off your manifesto, what would it be?
That's a really difficult question, because I haven't thought about that, because I want to do everything on the manifesto. I think I want to make sure societies feel more part of University of Kent and Kent Union. I want to make sure that they know that Kent Union are there for them, because there can always be the issues where people think, I haven't got as much money funding as last year, what's this about, I'm really cross, and I totally understand that, because but it's about actually having that connection with all the societies, making sure they know what's going on at our levels, and making sure they understand that we're trying our absolute best to help the students and to give the students that experience. So I suppose that sort of connection, that relationship, and the idea of Kent Union as a whole, so societies and sports and student media and RAG all achieving one towards one goal, which is to have great student experience. So not have that kind of a rivalry, not have those disparities where things get a lot more prestige than other things. I don't want it to be like that. I want to increase that sort of like integrity.